Hi, welcome to the Visionista Podcast. I'm your host, 𝐞𝐞𝐯 of Nor Marketing and PR. This podcast is for entrepreneurs where we talk about business and work-life balance. Hi, this is 𝐞𝐞𝐯, the Visionista, and I am here with my fabulous friend, Bill Miller of Grindhouse Coffee and Tea Company.
Hey, how you doing? I'm here. It's not too early, but I need some more coffee.
It is a good thing that you've got a hookup then. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to talk today about resilience in business and in life. We are recording this right now at the beginning of the pandemic, so we're still able to leave the house at least for podcasting
for
right now. But I know you face some stuff, I face some stuff. But before we hop into it, tell everybody about Grindhouse and the services you offer, where you are.
Okay.
So they know how to get to you.
I am located inside Myers in Huber Heights, out on Brant Pike. Mm-hmm. We do pastries from Evans Bakery. I grind my own beans, roast everything. I got all types of drinks. If you can imagine it, I can make it. So, hot, cold, frappuccinos. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't say frappuccinos. It's frozen lattes.
Oh, is there some trademarking restriction going on? Okay.
With those green circle people.
So we'll just not.
Yeah, frozen lattes. I got smoothies. We're going to start doing healthy smoothies now, fresh fruit smoothies, with a little bit of ice cream in it. I'm working on some new recipes for this summer, and we're going to expand our menu coming into the school year later on this summer, this fall. And so I'll have some new stuff going on here pretty soon.
I mean, basically, you are a wizard when it comes to drinks.
Yeah, somebody called me. I had one of my customers call me the coffee fairy.
Oh, that's how do you feel about being called a fairy, though?
I
mean, it's not true that you are good at what you do. Just, Anyway, okay, so a lot of people talking about resilience, just like hopping right in here. We've been chatting for a while today. Talking about resilience, there's a lot of stuff that goes on for business owners, and it affects, CEOs and other people. If you're working on the line at the Honda plant, it affects everybody differently. But I think the stakes are higher for business owners because your paycheck is coming in based on the amount of business that you do. You have faced some pretty serious setbacks the last couple years, and it's taken you, 2 years?
2 years
to finally come through and have a resolution with people trying to put you out of business. Not just like, business was slow, business was a slump. Like, people actually intentionally trying to put you out of business. I faced something similar when I was getting started, but I think it was just one person, and she was saying things to take my business from me, and she succeeded. It really, really set me back for a while. What did you do to work through that? Like, you knew pretty early on when this started that these people were coming for you. What did you do to keep going?
Basically, there were times I was going to give up. I wanted to give up. But, it got to the point where you had to sit back and really evaluate the whole situation. And what I did was I knew I didn't do anything wrong. It basically came out to, how can I say this? Just trying to help them out. Because they were in a tight spot. And I never gave up. It was times that I would call the banks and say, like, hey, I'm going to be late on this payment, or I can't pay you this month, or, can I get a furlough for 6 months or something like that, because the traffic wasn't coming in because of all this that was going on. So, I sat back, I looked at the situation. I'm like, you have to crunch the numbers. And, I had to lay off 2 people. And I had to... For the last 18 months, honestly, I had to sit back and do things myself. I had to cut my marketing. I had to, even on Facebook, I had a marketing firm doing stuff for me. And I had to, now I got to do everything. So I turned into from a CEO in managing my company to a barista, the marketing VP, you know, the CEO, the tax rep. You know, I had to do everything myself, and it was a learning curve. But I've been saying ever since the settlement that the lawsuit was actually a blessing. I had investors that wanted to invest. I mean, they wanted to invest millions of dollars. And the lawsuit came down, and I got a text. Hey, we're out.
Ugh.
Didn't even call me. Hey, we're out. What are you talking about, we're out? Like, because of the lawsuit, because it went public, and they were saying that because of this, you know, we just want to step back and come back at a different... And separate ourselves. I'm like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden, they're in the paper for something. I'm like, oh, so that was a blessing. I got out of that one because I didn't want to be tied into all that. And, you know, I had to sit back and I ended up learning stuff. You know, I'm calling attorneys and they're telling me, okay, this is how you do this.
Yeah.
You know, I know you're strapped on cash and you can't pay us $4,000 or $400 an hour, but I'm going to teach you how to do it right here on the phone. Like, I'm taking notes. You know, I have to go back and look at my notes sometimes, but still, it all came down to never giving up and looking at the whole situation. It was just a blessing because it forced me to learn how to do stuff where there's certain avenues I just didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And it forced me to do the research, go to the library, you know, call people, and how do you do this, and ask the tough questions. And I end up learning how to do everything. So now I'm in a better position than I was 2 years ago. Not financially, but as far as business knowledge and how to do things and how to, you know, come around, like, curb a couple people or certain situations. So it's like...
being a little bit more nimble.
Yeah, just, you know, and then pinching pennies and learning how to, you know, taxes. And that's the biggest thing for small businesses is... you know, you got to learn how to work money. You got to learn how to make money work for you. And it was a big learning curve, but I'm still here after 2 years. Now we're to the point where we're expanding. So I think this year is the year that we expand.
I know you have some stuff in the works, but I know it's like in the works. Is there anything you can say about that, or just
I can definitely
we are expanding? Period.
I can definitely say there's a store coming in West Dayton. It's in the Wright Dunbar district.
Cool.
I can't tell you where because construction hasn't started yet. But basically, I signed the LOI, and it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be one of those coffee shops where the design and the look of it is something that you would see like over in Canada or overseas or something like that. It's not just basic coffee shop. We're gonna go all out.
Bill is no basic biatch. It is gonna be fancy.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fancy. It's gonna be nice and cozy. It's gonna have a rustic industrial look.
Oh, cool. I like that look for a coffee shop. I don't know why. It's my favorite.
And you know, one of my favorite coffee shops though is Warehouse 4. And I like the vibe.
Where's that? I don't think I've been there.
That's in Vandalia, right across the street from the high school.
Oh, okay. I haven't been there.
And it's a small house, but it's 2 floors. And if you're not looking for it, you're gonna pass it. But I walked in there one day. I had a meeting about 2 years ago, and I looked at it like, oh, I like this. So I fell in love with that coffee shop. I go all the time. So
Awesome. So then let me ask you, you know, last episode we talked to Mike Sandner about, he's our attorney and he does business law, contract law, mostly in construction, but he does a lot of contracts and things like that. You know, now that you've kind of come out of all of that stuff, and I know there's not a lot that you can say, looking back, is there anything that you should have done differently or anything you will do differently going forward? Like, what would you tell somebody to maybe try and avoid what happened to you? Because it was real ugly for a real long time. And it didn't just cost you money out of pocket. It cost you, like you said, investors, opportunities. Like, pretty much everything got put on hold for 2 years. Yeah.
My biggest thing is if somebody wants to go in a partnership with you, do your research on them. Especially if they're an existing business. Basically, you want to ask for the numbers. Don't go by... oh, we're doing this in the community. We're doing this. You know, we're doing that. You know, we have a big following. You know, and do your research. Just because they say it doesn't mean they're doing it. Everything that looked good ain't
Isn't
good for
good.
it. Yeah, my mom used to tell me that all the time. So you know, it was to the point where you know it was my first store, and it was a good opportunity to me, and you know, it got to the point where I had moved all my stuff in, did all the construction, and all of a sudden I see it. You know, I had to step back and look again. And that's when I started doing my research. And I'm like, oh, my God, I ain't got into this. And they saying this and that and the other, and that's not what it is.
So if you would have done your research maybe 6 weeks first. Prior or 6 months prior, you would have been like, you know what?
Yeah,
thank
I'm going to pass
but
on
no,
it.
thank you.
But, you know, I was eager, and, you know, they were giving me an opportunity. The partnership looked great, you know, and it was like, all right, yeah, let's do this. And I was excited, and all of a sudden, you see it, and it's just like, oh, what did I get myself into? So then, you know, and most people, when, you know, they trying to, you know, put a mask over what's going on, and you finally see it, they get offended. And that's what happened. I mean, they got offended after I checked them about it. And then it was just like, well, can I see this? Well, can I see that? No. What?
We're partners now.
Right. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. Do I need to help you with this? You know, you got enough money to do that or this or that? And, you know, and, I can assure you, everything is fine. Well, let me see the numbers.
Yeah, sometimes that's not enough.
No, you know, they can tell you everything is fine, but until you see the numbers and that P&L, okay.
P&L is profit loss,
Right.
guys. If you're listening and you're starting.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. The profit and loss statement, you know, if you know how to read it, you can tell if the company is failing or doing anything. Just because they show a profit doesn't mean it's really there. Look at the year before, and the year before they had been in business years before I even heard of them. And they just refused. They wouldn't let me see anything. So I got into it, and then it's just like, all right, now what I'm going to do?
So are you suggesting that people who do not release their taxes perhaps have something to hide?
Yes.
Sorry, I had to throw that in. Okay, well, I mean, that's good because sometimes people go into business on their own. You know, they have their own dream and their own drive and they're doing it. But sometimes they go in with a partner because they feel it's going to help them somehow. Yeah. You know, maybe this person exists already and has a storefront or a following. Maybe this person is just bringing, you know, an extra set of hands to the table or, you know, some extra budget money for the, you know, for the project. So, you know, definitely do research, know what you're doing. Did you have any kind of like working business agreement that you had signed? You know, did an attorney look that over for you? Would that have helped you? Or in this case, would that not have helped you?
That would have helped me. I didn't have an attorney
at
the time. I didn't have one. And, you know, I went into it very green. And after they told me that, you know, I couldn't see the numbers and yada, yada, yada. And then grand opening came. And I had to scramble and find an attorney. Yeah. In the grand opening. I can't really talk about it.
Yeah. No, that's, I don't want to get you in trouble. Yeah. I don't want to make the thing worse.
It was just, it had just gotten to the point where, you know, in my haste and hurried into this partnership, we didn't have anything signed. Yeah. It was just a verbal agreement. But
a gentleman's handshake, if you will.
And, you know, but we had a lease.
Oh.
We had a lease signed.
That you both signed.
That we both signed. And I was blessed to have the knowledge then to where, all right, let's go into this a month-to-month lease. So one of us, you know, if one of us fail, we can get out of it. Yeah. And I went into it with a month-to-month lease. And then all of a sudden, we signed it. The next day, they backed out.
Of the lease?
Of the lease. Signed it. We signed it on a Thursday. Friday, they backed out. Saturday, no, it was a Wednesday. So Wednesday, we signed the lease. Thursday, they backed out. Friday was grand opening. And that's when the social media post came out. I didn't know anything about it. It hit us like a ton of bricks. We were at lunch, and then all of a sudden, my phone started going off. I'm like, who is this? What's going on? And one of my friends commented like, hey, you better look at social media.
Mm-hmm. And can you say a little bit about like what, not who, but what was being said? I mean, these were targeted attacks against you personally and your business. I mean, at one point, I think you had a couple of employees that actually had to be escorted from their job at the end of the day to their car because of people that these individuals had kind of like encouraged to gather and harass them. Like, this wasn't just some people, you know, keyboard warrior kind of stuff. This spilled over into actual real life, and it was a safety problem.
It was a safety problem, and, you know, over the course of, let me see, I was at that location 12 weeks. I lasted 12 weeks.
Yeah, it was here and then it was gone.
Yeah, and over the course of 12 weeks, you know, there's a brick was thrown through the window, busted the window. We went from hundreds of people during the day to 20 people during the whole day. It went from my employees being harassed in store, out of the store. You know,
and that's not cool, man. If you have a problem with a business owner, you know, sack up and handle that like an adult, owner to owner. The people who have jobs, that's not their business, man.
Yeah, and they had nothing to do with it. You know, I got death threats. They had a rally.
Against you?
Yes, they had a rally. And
remove Bill, take your coffee.
They had a rally against me, and, you know, it was another business owner. Another business. It wasn't the people that were...
Oh, a third one.
It was a third business owner.
Good night.
That, you know, put together this rally. And it was just like, I don't even know her. You know, I don't even know these people.
At some point, was it surreal? Like, how the hell did this happen? How did we get here?
The rally put everything in perspective for me. It got to the point where somebody called me and like, hey, have you seen social media? I'm like, Jesus Christ, what's going on now? So they sent me a link. I'll look at it and I'll read it. And out of emotion, I'm like, oh, they're going to hold a rally? Okay. All right. What was the name of that faction? The 3 percenters. I had to do research on that.
I've never even heard that. So I guess Google it, guys, if you want to go down the rabbit hole.
Right. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, what is a 3 percenter? I'm reading. I'm like, all right, they ain't that bad. They just.
I was gonna say, is that like if you're loaded but not as loaded as a 1 percenter?
Right. And I'm like, okay. So then all of a sudden, I'm like, all right, I don't know anybody in this town. I don't have any family up here. I'm like, all right, but I'm from Dayton. From West Dayton at that.
I'ma cut you.
I remember that day. I put out an all call. I had everybody in that West Dayton. I probably had about 500 people coming. So when it got real, that was on a Friday. The rally was supposed to be the next day. I got my daughter with me, picking her up from basketball practice. We go home, and then I have the first person call me from the city. I can't tell you what city it was. But
yeah, no, we cannot do that.
Yeah. First person called me, have you seen social media? Yeah, I saw the post. She was like, don't do anything. You probably need to close up Saturday. All right, I'll think about it. As soon as I get off the phone, second person from the city called me. This one in tears. She was like, I don't want nothing to happen. I know you got all these people coming. You need to just close. You know, it's just like, okay, I think about it. I'm not even off the phone with her yet. My phone is ringing. There's somebody calling in. This time it's a high official, 2 of them. It's a high official and the chief of police at the time. They're on the phone with me. I click over and I'm like, all right, what is going on? He was like, you need to close up for the whole weekend. I'm like, for what? I'm like, I ain't scared of these people. Like,
yeah.
He was like, well, and at the time, Charlottesville had just happened.
Yeah. So it was fresh in everybody's mind.
It was fresh in everybody's mind. And they were like, chief of police straight up told me, he was like, you need to close up for the whole weekend, come back Monday, start again. He was like, because if you're going to have that many people, because you're popular, everybody knows you, from a different city, and coming up here, he's like, something's going to happen.
And that's kind of a good point, because this started as a business disagreement, but racism quickly escalated with this situation.
I was like, Jesus Christ. And he was just like, call it off, come back Monday, reopen, and put out a statement. So I called it off. Nobody showed up. One guy showed up.
From your side or from the other side?
My side. And it wasn't even really start. It was like he was a friend. He shows up because he worked third shift and he didn't see the post.
He didn't see.
He called me at 8 like, dude, are you open? I'm like, nah, man, we closed up. You didn't see the post. And I'm emailed it. I texted everybody. He was like, man, I just got off work. He checks his phone. He's like, I just got it. I just read it. He was like, what's going on? So I told him. He was like, man, look, they got your building surrounded.
What? Wait, the police or the crazy people?
The police. No, the police. The crazy people stayed across the street.
Okay.
The police had the street blocked off. They had 2 cars, because I was sitting on the corner, so they had 2 cars sitting there. The one official that called me, he sit next door. They had cameras all around, on top of buildings, on the poles, everything. If something happened, they got him on camera.
Oh, my God. So when we say fiasco, we were not lying. It was a deal.
And these folks out here that was against me on social media straight denied it. I got the tape.
You have the receipts, man.
Oh, my God.
I have seen the receipts.
I sat there and I was like,
if you were a housewife, you'd be fishing in a pillow right now. Look at these receipts.
Oh, my God. It was so crazy. So we come back Monday, and it was just like I sat down in the office. I had my girl that was running the shop. She's there. I went in there Monday morning, and I sat in the office, and, I'm going through my paperwork, going through the social media, looking at everything. And I sat there and I said, you know what?
Fuck this shit.
Oh, my God, I'm getting ready to leave then. I literally almost told her, I was like, look, go lock the door. We're going to scrape this sign off I just paid $500 for off the window paint. And we're going to close up.
So let me ask you, why didn't you? Because people face all kinds of things. This is why I wanted to have you in particular on here, because I can think of no one who has faced the level of bullshit that you have faced the last 2 years. Like, people say shit, you might have a slump in business. This is a whole other level. You wanted to close up, but you didn't. Why didn't you? One
of my biggest champions that was in my corner is my older brother. And I tend to listen to him, because he says the same shit that my mom would tell me all the time.
I'm going to give a clap.
So my brother would tell me, he's like, man, don't let these folks run you out of business. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, just stay open. So I listened to him.
I like your brother.
Me too. So he kept telling me, he's like, man, look, you only leave if it gets to the point where somebody put their hands on you.
Yeah.
Or you see a weapon. Or,
because it's not worth your physical safety or your employees' physical safety.
So over the years, me and him, we always go back and we talk about it. And he said something to me a couple months ago. He said, you know what?
You're getting verklempt right now, too.
I know.
I'm sorry. What did he say?
He was like, you know what? You being an African American in that, and I was like, man, this ain't nothing to do with race. I was like, it just doesn't. I mean, them folks didn't like me.
And that's what started it all. Some people may have jumped on because of that, but that's not what started it all initially.
They just didn't like me. And he was like, well, all right. So he got quiet, and I was taking him to work. And then all of a sudden, he was like, you know what? It just hit me. He was like, you were doing too much. He was like, you wasn't from the city. You was from Dayton. You lived down in Franklin. He's like, you were doing too much, and everything was happening. Doors was opening. So I sat back after.
Blessed.
Right, hashtag blessed, and, having favor. But after I dropped him off, I sat in the parking lot, and I got to thinking about what he said. I was like, you know what? He might be onto something. Because.
Jealousy.
Exactly. So it got from, all right, I just got this SBA loan. And 2 stores got funded. So I was getting ready to do something where people would tell me, like, dude, you crazy. You can't do anything like that. So the first store would have opened that day. 30 days later, I was going to open up another store in the Myers. So
now that's the one where you are now, right?
That's where I'm at now, yeah. So I was opening up the second store. So at the time, when I still have it, at the time I was going to open the third store, like later on, late summer, in another Myers. So 3 stores in less than 6 months.
That's huge. That's huge.
Right. Plus, I was going to purchase the old firehouse. And they gave it to me for $1. Like
$1.
$1. And
dollar make you holler.
Right. And things were happening. I had cities calling me. Springboro, Kettering, Cincinnati, Fairfield. Hey, you want to open a coffee shop here?
Big time.
I'm like, all right. And all of a sudden, the big one happened. And when I say big, not financially, but it was, okay, this is going to get my name out for real.
The opportunity.
Paul Brown Stadium.
Wow.
I'm like, NFL. I'm like, well, hot damn. I went down there and talked to them people. Hey, let's put up 6 small coffee stands around the stadium. Okay. Now all of a sudden, I'm working. Boom, this happened. I'm like, all right. Then all of a sudden, I closed that store up and opened the one in Myers. I get a call, and they're like, hey, let's step back and look. Then I got the call from the investors. Hey, I didn't even get a call. I got a text. And they were saying, like, we're going to step back a little bit.
I mean, when your investors ghost you, that has got to hurt.
Oh, my God. They didn't even call. No email, nothing. They just a text.
New phone, who dis? You want how much?
I'm like, what happened? I'm like, what happened? It's like, well, we just need to step back and let this see what the outcome is of the lawsuit. I'm like, oh. So honestly, it went from projected $1.5, $2 million that first year to, whatever I'm bringing in that day. I might bring in $100. It was days after that, after I closed the first shop and sitting in Myers, we wouldn't even make $50.
That's got to be hard.
Oh, man,
and especially knowing that it wasn't because you made a dumb business decision. I mean, I guess you could say going into business with those dum-dums was dumb. But it wasn't because you did something like the moron who invested in 20,000 things of hand sanitizer and can't sell it. He's like, well, I spent all this money. Well, that was a dumb business decision, my friend. It wasn't something you did. It was something that these other people did to you that then you had to deal with the fallout with. And that's the hard part, you know?
That is, just dealing with it. And it's like, I got depressed. I started losing weight, wouldn't eat, going out and drinking all the time. Me and my wife having problems at the house. And I'm like...
Probably shouldn't get into that on
right? No,
She will cut you.
but really, she would agree. I mean, things wasn't right at the house because I was going through it in business. And, I didn't want to talk about anything. Yeah. I got secluded.
Well, there's a lot you couldn't talk about, too, once it started.
But it was just, it had gotten to the point where after I laid my 2 employees off, and I was there every day and would see it personally, and it was just like, okay, where the hell is everybody at? Store busy. Ain't nobody coming to get coffee. I had to go through that for probably a year. Till all of a sudden, one day, I did a post or something. I remember, I think it was the anniversary of the first store. I did a post and went through everything, and I was like, all right, let me put my feet back on the ground. Let me get back in these trenches. Let me start making up some new drinks. And it was a Sunday afternoon. I was feeling down and out because I only think I had made $20 that day. I'm sitting there all day. So I got up. I'm like, let me make some new drinks. I redid the prices, lowered the prices a little bit on the menu. And I made 7 new frozen lattes with Oreo cookies in them. And different flavors of Oreo cookies. And then all of a sudden, I put it out there. And my social media exploded. I'm like, all right. I didn't hit a nerve with somebody. Then
hello, cookies and cream and coffee.
Oh my God!
How could you go wrong?
Like I was just making stuff up. I made it was crazy. And then all of a sudden, about 4:30 that afternoon, I remember like the back of my hand, I get the store manager from Kroger's. I'm in Myers, so the store manager from Kroger's come in, and he got this other guy with him. And I kind of see the green circle people logo. I'm like,
those who shall not be named.
Yeah, I ain't gonna say the names, but I'm looking at them like, oh, they ordered one on every frozen latte I did on social media.
Are they trying to jack your drinks?
I don't know. I don't know.
What?
No,
maybe they just got tired of what they had.
Right, and I don't know. So I went through, and then like for the next year, and just remember this: if you got a small business, look at your numbers every day. Make sure you're making budget and stuff like that. You can pay the bills and keep the lights on. So for the next year, every other day I would look at the numbers like, all right, yeah, okay. But I would be there, so I know what I did that day.
You can see if it was busy or not busy.
So the second year in business, anniversary comes up, and I'm looking at the numbers, so I go back the whole year, and I look at what I did for 12 months. I'm like, oh. And it surprised me because in my mind, I'm trying to think of, I'm like, I did about 75,000 for a year, 80,000. I'm like, it really ain't that much. Just some quick math. The report comes down, and I look at it, and I'm like, 125? Like, hold on, wait a minute. Let me call these
Did you think that was wrong?
Yeah, I thought it was wrong. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute.
Accounting error.
125. I'm like, I go back, I'm looking, like, yeah, I remember that day. Oh, okay, I'm looking at that day.
How much did you think it was? Like, how much was the number off in your head?
Oh, I thought I had, barely scraped the surface. I thought it did like $75,000, $80,000. 125. I called the register company.
That's almost double. If you were thinking 70, that's almost double.
I had to call the register company. Like, hey, did y'all have a glitch or something? They're like, no, Mr. Miller, no. I'm like, hold on. So I had to go month by month and look. At 1 month, I was looking at it like, damn, I did that much. And I got to thinking like, yeah, I remember that. Like, oh, well, yeah. And it was because I had been innovative and creative and made new drinks and was doing my social media every day, putting it out there, doing videos, doing small commercials, like the little 15-second commercials.
And you do those things yourself.
Yeah, I do all that stuff myself.
To be fair, you have a background in marketing. Yeah. So you have kind of a leg up on somebody who maybe doesn't, but you're doing all that stuff yourself.
Yeah, I'm doing everything. So I'm not paying any money out. I'm just paying, the rent. I'm paying like the SBA loan stuff back, my car note, stuff like this. It's just like everyday living stuff. And I got to looking like, oh, well, hell. I did all right. Like, that's why they're up here every other week. And I'm like, oh.
Trying to check out what you're doing and probably trying to copy off you as much as possible.
So I end up, that
must have been like so rewarding and fulfilling when you figured that out, and immediately you're like, shit, this has got to be wrong. And then when you figured out it wasn't wrong, that had to have been the best day ever.
It was. I went home and I told my wife, and I'm like, man.
Did you guys go celebrate? Did you take her out?
Yeah, I took her out. We had some fun, and I went over everything with her, and then all of a sudden, 15 months later, we got Olivia.
Oh, so I guess guys don't celebrate too much.
So it's the past 15 months. Everything has been a blur because it's going so fast, and once the settlement came down, it was a big article in the Dayton Daily News, and. And I let the cat out the bag because I had been in talks with these people way before the settlement even came down.
It was pretty much ongoing for like 2 years. It was a long time.
It was crazy. So when it finally came down, the settlement was agreed, and and it came out. I'm like, all right, well, I'm about to let the cat out of the bag. There's 3 more stores coming. So the article said there's 3 stores. One store, I can tell you it's going to be downtown, but I can't tell you where. I can tell you it's going to be 2 floors. It's going to be big. It's a big store. It's a full bar, alcohol. It's going to be liquor, beer, wine, coffee.
So unlike anything we have really seen in the Dayton market for coffee shop.
It's going to be huge. And when the opportunity came, and I came up on a humble. Like I always say, hey man, I've been blessed. Where stuff just fell into my lap, and you have to. And I always say, if you follow me on Facebook, I always tell people like you got to learn how to catch these blessings before you pass them by.
That doesn't mean you won't have hard work. Yeah. If you've listened to Bill this far, there has been a lot of hard work, a lot of struggle to make it happen, but. Taking advantage of those opportunities when they come to you is huge.
Oh my God, you have to, and you got to put in the work. I look back now, sitting here talking to you. I look back at it, and it's like 15-hour days, getting up at 2:30 in the morning, and not going to bed till midnight that night. So getting 3 or 4 hours of sleep, and drinking 15 shots of espresso every day.
It's a good thing you've got a hookup.
Right, I got the hookup. I can just go ahead and make some, but. It fell into my lap. I was calling about another space. And the realtor was like, well, and I told him like, no, that's all right. She was like, well, what about such and such? Really? I was like, how much is a square foot? So she told me. I'm like, oh, can I come down and look at it? She was like, what time can you down here? I got there about 2 o'clock. Put a hard hat on, walked around, like, oh, I can do this. Oh, this would be easy. And I came to the point where it just popped in my head, and I asked them if they would do this and do that, and would they be comfortable in doing this? And she was like, yeah, we'll do it. Okay. So now I had a couple meetings with them, and all of a sudden, I can't tell you what school. It's a college. They come into the picture. Well, why don't we do this? you have your main shop, and we'll put one on the other side, and we'll run it. You don't have to pay anything. We're going to pay you. We're going to buy your coffee. We're going to put the logo up. And I'm like, okay. Had a meeting with them.
Where do I sign?
Right. So the LOI is coming up, and I'm like, all right, I signed the LOI with them. So I got 2 LOIs going. That's and I'm just like, all right. Then I had another meeting with the main store. So it goes from, I turned in my business plan, my financial projections, and all like that. And I had it at $300,000. Like, all right, yeah, I could do that. Pay all the bills, make a little money, save up for a 4th store. So they come to me with another idea. And they present this, that, and the other. I'm like, okay. They come up to the shop. They want to test my coffee out. It's like 4 or 5 of them, like 5 of them. And they're like, this is the best damn coffee latte I ever had. I'm like, okay.
I mean, they're not lying. I have some right now. Victor's got some too. He's on the he's on the board right now, but yeah.
So, and then all of a sudden, it was like, okay, their financial VP is there. And the financial VP was like, yeah, I saw your numbers. They look good. He was like, but how do you feel about making $2.5 million in one location in the first 12 months?
I mean, did you pause and tell them, I'm sorry, sir, that is simply too much money?
I was in the middle of making a latte. I damn near, spilled all of it. Almost knocked it over. And I looked at him like, I'm for it. What's the catch?
Who would say no?
I'm like, okay. So they proposed this thing, and I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Do you ever just pinch yourself like, how did I get so freaking lucky?
I have this nervous habit. If you watch some of my videos, I have this nervous habit of rubbing my head or messing with my face. And, when I'm talking.
Don't do that now. There's germs.
And I'm rubbing my head, and he said it, and I'm like, I instantly start rubbing my head like, okay.
Do you rub a bald spot in the back?
Yeah, it's one up top. So, and I'm sitting there like, all right, let's do it. He's like, well, you're available Tuesday at such and such. I'm like, I'll be there. Don't worry about that.
It's like, if I have to knock old ladies out of my way, I will be there.
I'm leaving. If I got to close the store, I'm out. I'm going to come down there and look at it. So it's just like, I get down there, I look at the numbers, I'm like, well, this shit is for real. And I'm like pinching myself like, oh, really? I had to look at it 3 or 4 times like, all right, where's the LOI? They had it, signed it. All right, cool. So I was like, when you want this to open? New Year's Eve. I had to look at my phone like, what's today's date? I'm like, well, shit, I got like 9 months. Like, how am I going to put this together in 9 months?
Quickly.
Very quickly. So from then on to current date, yesterday, I had a guy come in, offer his catering services. Don't even know him. He called me out the blue. So I'm thinking like, all right, somebody must have told him to call me. And he knew about the project. I'm like, all right, where are you catering at now? So now I'm on the defensive side of it.
Yeah, well, now you've been hurt.
Right, I've been hurt.
You need to make sure these people are legit, not weirdos.
So now it's like, all right, you got a business card? So he gave me his business card.
Oh, I thought you were asking me for a second. No.
So I get his business card. I look at his website. I asked around. I asked a couple people that I know that's and like, oh, yeah, he legit. Yeah. I'm like, all right. So I called my one guy that I know going to tell me the truth. 100 just, he's going to tell me. He was like, yeah, he legit. I'm like, all right. So another person comes up yesterday. She does desserts. And I'm like, and I've seen the desserts, never taste them because I'm not a big dessert eater. But it's just like, okay. She was like, yeah, I heard this and heard that. And I'm like, all right, let me see. So I start asking around her, doing my little research. She's legit. I'm like, all right, well, there's 2 people I can bring on board. So now I'm on the hunt for like bartenders and waitresses and stuff like that. And with all this going on now, like this is prime picking. So, and I got that stuck in my head.
Yeah. And by this, we are recording in March of 2020. He is talking about the coronavirus pandemic. So if you're listening in 20 years and you're like, what the heck is that? Ask your mom.
Right. Grandparents.
No, they all died.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
That's messed up.
Dark humor. That's how I deal. I'm sorry. My heart is black like my soul anyway. So, but no, that's awesome. And that's kind of nice too, because even through really bad things, everything your business went through, the pandemic going on right now, there's opportunities if you work through your fear, and you are nimble and agile, and you're willing to kind of bob and weave and take the punches that are thrown at you.
Yeah.
If you will look, if you don't just close your eyes and cry and give up, like there's opportunities, there are ways to change and move.
Yeah, and
with the waves to be better. I mean, you had some really awesome things going on, but you might not have had some of the opportunities that you have now if you wouldn't have been through all that nonsense and like kept going, because I've known Bill. We've been acquainted since way before this, when he still had a corporate job. And
looking at YouTube videos.
Oh my gosh. No, the best. He has very expressive eyes. If you know Bill, you know this is the truth. And he used to have these daily posts about this woman that sat behind him. She used to complain about every little last thing,
sure
and
did.
his face, no matter how bad my day was, whatever was going on there, I was like, oh my goodness. And it was so funny, just the way, I mean, honestly, if this coffee thing doesn't work out for you, you have a future in stand-up.
Right.
You do. But anyway, so, but all these things may or may not have happened, and now people know you're in it for the long haul, you're smart, you're agile, you can make all these things happen, because if you can take the colossal pile of shit that was dumped on your doorstep and turn it into this gorgeous empire, what can you do with an actual like $5 bill or a good relationship?
I was thinking about that the other day, and I've always said I'm blessed that I went through all this.
Well, you're smarter now.
Yeah, I'm very smart.
You're tougher now.
I'm tougher now, and what if it got to the point where I can come out the stores and actually run the company, sit my butt at a desk, and actually crunch the numbers every single day, or come up with new ideas, or go in and test stuff.
Strategic.
Right. What if I came out the stores, I didn't have anything left? I always say, I'm like, I could probably open up 10 stores in 1 year. Because now I have the resources, and now I have, the knowledge to do it. You got people. The biggest thing is, let me backtrack before I even get on this tangent. The biggest thing is to have a team around you of people that know what they're doing, that has the contacts to get the knowledge that you need to, expand or take your business to the next level. You got to have a team. I have a small team, but I also have a lot of people that I've known for years that's been through something like this. And, I'm a very good listener. And I always sit back and I'm like, all right, let me mull over this for a day or two. Or, let me go sit in this room for a couple hours and see if I can think this through.
So you're listening to the advice, basically.
I'm listening to the advice. And that gut feeling, I've learned to listen to it. If something doesn't seem right, all right, let me get on here and do some research. And it's gotten to the point now, you got investors, small investors, and I'm not going to say the big ones. Got a couple big ones. I got a small investors, hey, I want to give you $25,000. And they think they can get over on you. Hey, I got this $25,000. I want 41%. Of what?
Of this cup of coffee, sure.
Right. Yeah, for $25,000, you get to the point where it's like, all right.
So know your worth.
All right. Yes. Know your worth. Because I know a couple people, this $25,000 will put them over. That would help them out tremendously. In my situation, $25,000, that's not even an espresso machine. You know what I'm saying? So there are people out there that would try to take your shit. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to let them. Because that, to some businesses, and not all of y'all, and I'm sorry to say this, but to some businesses, $25,000, that's a lot of money. So when it comes down to it, $25,000, I'm like, only thing you buy me is an espresso grinder, a espresso machine, and 2 coffee pots. That's about all I can get with that. There's nothing else. You want 41%? I'm gonna need about 1.2.
Yeah.
You have to
sell your soul for a handful of beans.
Right.
I feel like maybe that was a story or something.
Yeah. You just have to. You have to, like you said, know your worth. Sit down and collect your thoughts and know what you need, because that 1.2, that's going to give me 10 stores. You have to think bigger than what you're thinking. That's what my brother said to me the other day. He was like, yeah, I understand that store is going to bring you $2.5, $3 million at the most. You know, the low end is going to be $1 million. Okay, that's $1 million in revenue. I ain't never seen $1 million. You know, and I'm like, he's like, at the high end, you're looking at $2.5, $3 million. He's like, but that's just one store. You got to think, what about your 10? What if you built 10 stores in prime locations and all of them are at the low end of your projections at $1 million a year? He said, Bill, that's $10 million. You know how much you can do with $10 million?
A lot.
He was like, now take 62% of that. That's your profit margin. It's like, then what you got? 6.2. I'm like, huh. He's like, imagine that in your bank account. What are you going to do with 6.2? Huh, that's 60 stores. He's like, all right, now you're up to 70 stores.
So you're reinvesting.
Right. I'm reinvesting all my profits in my company and in me. Okay. So what about all the other websites that you own? Okay. I own 20-something websites. What if you put $100,000 into them? Okay. Now that 6.2 or that $10 million turned in probably about $30 million because now you're riding the wave of your coffee shop into inappropriatecoffeemugs.com or the one I just told you about, the happylibations.com, where you got I got some other stuff going on. Stuff like that. It was like, okay, that's 4 or 5 years from now. You got to think like that. You have to keep broadening your horizons and expanding your current idea that's the moneymaker to everything else that you got ideas about, that you know that's going to work, that there's not really any competition. Like, everybody sells coffee mugs on their coffee website. All right, but what about a website where you just worrying about the coffee mugs that you can't take into the office? That's going to be your household coffee mug. You can say any damn thing on those. There's not a whole bunch of them out there that's solely concentrated just on that. I mean,
inappropriate messaging.
You know, you got them on Etsy and you got them on eBay, but just one website where you got about 40 of them sitting there and you got everything. So, you know, he told me that, and I sat back and I looked at him like, well, damn, he's true. In 5 years, I wrote it down on my vision board. 5 years, $40 million in revenue. Then he told me the one thing that scared the hell out of me. He said, what if you get up to 70 stores and you got to sell it or somebody wants to buy it? What are you going to do then? I'm like, 5 years, 70 stores, and it's just like, okay, how much am I really going to be worth? Because if somebody comes in and I got 70 stores and they tell you, all right, we're going to give you $150 million for your 70 stores. What are you going to do? Have you ever seen $150 million?
I mean, you probably wouldn't either. You'd see some zeros in your bank account.
Right. And it's just like, I'm like, I don't know what I would do. He's like, really sit back and listen to your gut. And then take, you know, what you going to do? Take them thoughts and what you going to do? I can do this. I can retire. 5 years, I'll be 50. I can retire. What are you going to do when you retire? That's exactly what he said to me. What are you going to do when you retire? I'm like, I don't know.
Do you fish?
No. So, you know, with everything that's happened in the last 2 years, I can honestly sit back and say, I'm glad it happened. You know, because everything that I dreamt of 2 years ago, even 3 years ago, when I was sitting in the office selling coffee bags out of my office online only.
I remember that.
And messing with the logo like 3 or 4 times, and all of a sudden I come up with the logo that I got now. I got to look at it. Wait a minute. Hold on right there. So, you know, everything is starting to happen, everything that I imagined. But I think that I had to go through this lawsuit and the death threats and the rallies in order to say, all right, I've been through it all. If it happened again, I exactly know what's going on. I know how to handle it. Keep your mouth shut. Let your attorneys handle it because that's what you paying them for. Instead of clapping back, because I clap back a lot. Oh, my God. They would say something on social media. I would go in on them full throttle, emotions, mad. And it's just like, Bill, shut up. You know, I had to sit back and I had people telling me, like, dude, don't say nothing. Well, they dogging me, man. Don't say anything. Just let them look like a fool. Because in the end, everybody knows you didn't do anything. Everybody knows you tried to help them. I bought equipment for him and offered to buy supplies and inventory and got it thrown back in my face. I wish I could tell you this one thing, what he said to me one day. I tried to buy him out. And he looked at me and swore to God, he said this, and I just looked at him. The girl that was running my coffee shop in Fairview, she looked at me and was like, did he really just say that? I'm like, yeah, he sure the hell did. I turned around and left. Like, you have got to be shitting me. Like, what? I'm offering you a couple thousand, not even a couple. It was over $10,000. I offered him his share.
Wouldn't do it.
Wouldn't do it. I was just like, Looking back at it now, if I would have known and caught it, I'm like, he getting ready to do something to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, nobody turns out that money, especially if you're not making it.
Yeah.
If you're not making that money and you turning it down, you about to set me up for the okie doke. And that's what he did. That's what he did. I'll tell you that when we get off here.
I like it. So in summation today, your greatest setbacks can give birth to your greatest blessings.
Yes.
So keep going. No matter where you are. Don't stop. If you've been in some horrible situation like Bill, and Bill's situation's over the top. Most people, I don't think, will ever experience something that crappy.
Man, I hope y'all don't.
So, but if Bill can get through that, this is my point. You, my friend, can get through anything. Just keep going to work, one foot in front of the other. Be nimble, bob and weave, and you'll get it done. Yeah. So, you got anything else to add?
No.
Quick 10 seconds?
Quick 10 seconds? Nah. Just watch what you do, who you do business with, get you a lawyer, and get you a team.
I like it. That is a perfect place to end. Thank you for listening to the Visionista Podcast.